If you live in the United States, it is no longer possible to purchase a Steam Deck directly from Valve. When I saw this, I thought this has to be a mistake. Wario64 tweeted this out, and I figured maybe he's incorrect. Maybe he's thinking about the LCD version of the Steam Deck. So I went to steampowered.com/Steam Deck. I scrolled down, and sure enough, right here, you can see that the LCD version no longer available. The OLED version, both the 512 and the 1 terabyte version, neither of those are available either. Now, originally, I just assumed that they were just talking about the LCD version because Valve's no longer making that. In fact, on the website, you can see it right here. It says, note, we are no longer making the LCD 256 gigabyte model. Once it's sold out, it will no longer be available. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at that, what does this mean that they were no longer able to get the Steam Deck directly from Valve here in the United States? Well, I think that there's a few different options. And what I wanted to is talk about those options and try and nail down which one of these I think it is, or at least try and do process of elimination to get rid of some of the other options. So let's get started. But before we do, I got to keep these lights on. So I'm going to thank my sponsor. This video is sponsored by Boot.dev. Their founders are massive gamers, and if you use the code NerdNest at checkout, you're going to get 25% off. Essentially, Boot.dev is a programming role-playing game. You program in order to complete quests and level up, and the whole thing is like a video game. When you use Boot.dev, you're going to learn to code by using real coding projects. You'll get an assignment on the left side of the screen, and on the right side of the screen, you're going to write your code to complete that quest. Down on the bottom is where your console shows you the results of what you've done, and then you hit submit, fireworks rain down, and you get to move on to the next lesson. And as you learn, you're going to earn XP, levels, achievements. Like I said, the entire course is like a game. But instead of getting a high score, or I guess in addition to getting a high score, you're also gaining a valuable skill. And most importantly, it's really fun. I've been trying it out, and I have to say, I kind of got sucked in. I lost track of time because I was having so much fun solving their little quests. If you're not sure about it, then guess what? All of the content on Boot.dev is free to watch. But if you have a membership, you get access to the interactive features like the hands-on coding, the progress tracking, and the game mechanics. So if you want to try out something new, expand your skill set, learn something, and have fun at the same time, then go to boot.dev or click on the link in the description down below and use my code NerdNest to get 25% off your first year on the annual plan. Again, that's boot.dev and use code NerdNest at checkout for 25% off your first year on the annual plan. Now, back to what I was saying. Option number one. I think it's possible that Valve can no longer get the parts that they need in order to manufacture the Steam Deck. What do I mean by that? You all have heard me talk endlessly about the Rampocalypse and how AI data centers are buying up just mountains upon mountains of these chips, leaving just the scraps for everybody else, and that drives the price up on those chips for everybody else. And because of that, perhaps Valve just can't source the chips that they need because they're so scarce right now. Now, if this is the case, I think that Valve has a couple of options as to what they can do. Number one, they could raise the price of the Steam Deck, something that I'm sure that they are very hesitant to do. And the reason I'm sure that they're hesitant to do is because when you compare the Steam Deck to all other PC handhelds, it stands out in two things. Number one, in my opinion, it is the most ergonomic. Number two, it's one of the better experiences. And number three, it is the cheapest. None of the other PC handhelds are close to the price of the Steam Deck unless you get them like used in box at Best Buy or something like that. For Valve to raise the price of the Steam Deck, I think that would make it would really just drive customers to go get the other systems instead. And I'm not saying that Valve, honestly, I don't think that they really care if you go get the other systems, but they want to have a reason for you to get the Steam Deck. You know what I mean? The other option that they have could be what they ended up going with. Okay, we can't get the product or the components that we need in order to manufacture our device, so we're going to halt manufacturing the device until we can find another way to source those components. So I think that's one option for why Valve has been completely sold out for the Steam Deck, all models, not just the LCD, the Steam Deck and the Steam Deck OLED. All right, let's take a look at option number 2. This is the one that I think is probably the most far-fetched, but it's the one that I'm hoping for the most as well. Maybe Valve is getting ready to announce the Steam Deck 2. Let's rewind a little bit. When you go back to the Steam machine announcement and the Steam frame announcement and the Steam controller announcement, those were all 3-in-1 video, but they started out that video by talking about the Steam Deck. They said, this is the Steam Deck. And actually, here's the quote that they actually said. "We're excited to talk about the future of Steam Deck, but not today." So clearly, Steam Deck has a future with Valve. They have plans for it moving forward. Every time that they've been asked about Steam Deck 2, what they have said is, we want to wait until you get a good performance boost, so that when the user wants to play a game, they're getting a significant improvement over the power of the original Steam Deck at the same battery level. So you can keep playing the games for the same amount of time on the Steam Deck 2, but you can play them better. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think Valve has reached that point yet, especially with the component costs just going through the roof. I think it's way less likely that this option is the actual real reason why we're not able to buy Steam Decks right now, but it is definitely a small possibility. Option number 3, Valve saw a recent spike in demand for the Steam Deck. Maybe right near Christmas time, they sold a bunch of Steam Decks. Maybe a ton of people were going out and picking up Steam Decks, especially because I think they were on sale recently. If I'm just remembering, if my memory is correct, they were on sale recently, and maybe they sold way more than they were ready for. And because of that, they're sold out, and they are just trying to keep up with demand because they're selling so well. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. We did see a huge spike in the adoption of using Linux for gaming, specifically on the Steam hardware profile. If you go to gamingonlinux.com, you can see their Steam Linux data tracker, which is right here. And when you scroll down, you can see their Steam tracker, and it shows what percent of people are currently using Linux right now to play video games using Steam. And as of December 2025, that's 3.58%, which sounds like a very, very small number. But when you look back at the original release of the Steam Deck, it was at just 1%. So what that means is that the number of people or the percentage of people who are using Linux as their main operating system to play video games on Steam has doubled twice in 4 years. It reminds me of that old thing where somebody says, "Do you want $1 million? Or do you want me to give you a penny today and then double it every day for the next 2 months?" Doubling multiple times in 4 years is pretty impressive, and I think it's possible that a lot of that is coming on the heels of people picking up the Steam Deck. Now, it is also very important to point out, if you scroll down further on Liam's website, it says, or you can see here, the Steam OS, there's this pink line. You can see that line has been going down over time. And I think the reason that that's going down over time is because people tried using Steam OS, and then they realized, hey, you know what? Linux isn't so bad. Okay. Snow just came off my roof and scared the hell out of me. So that's what that was all about. Sorry. Oh my God. Almost gave me a heart attack. All right. What was I saying? And if you look at the line for SteamOS, it's been going down over time. And I think that's because people tried SteamOS and they said, okay, this is really cool. Well, now I'm going to install a Linux on my other hardware that I have so that I can see what that's like. And so then they started trying other things like Bazite and CatchyOS and all the other things that I'm not going to get into today. But my point is that Linux has seen a spike in use recently. And maybe that's because there's a lot more Steam Decks out there in recent days. And maybe that's why they're completely out of them. Option number 4, maybe Valve is shifting resources. Shifting the RAM and the storage components that they had set aside for the Steam Deck and taking those and shifting them over to the Steam Machine instead. I mean, if you think about it, both the Steam Machine and the Steam Deck use 16 gigabyte chips of LPDDR5 memory. So it would make sense that they could just shift that stuff over. Both of them use M.2 drives for their storage. So again, you could easily move that over from the Steam Deck to the Steam Machine. And I know this kind of flies in the face of what I said during option 3, but maybe the people who wanted a Steam Deck already bought a Steam Deck. And they're just, maybe Valve has seen that the sales for Steam Deck have flattened out. And so they have an option. They can sit on this RAM and storage, or they can use it in something that will further their goals. And their goals are to get this hardware out so that people can start using it. And every day that they delay getting this hardware out and not in the hands of the people who are interested in this stuff, means that there's going to be less people that are interested in this stuff. It's going to put them behind on the power curve. We recently talked about it on this this topic on a recent episode of my podcast, the NerdNest podcast, which you can check out wherever podcasts are downloaded: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, YouTube Music. It's right there in the YouTube Music app as a podcast, and it's right here on my channel. So if that sounds good, make sure that you subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications, because I'm this close to 100,000 subscribers, and it would be amazing if I could hit that by the end of March. Anyway, let's move on to option 5. And that is, since the Steam Deck seems to only be sold out in the United States, perhaps Valve just ran out of consoles in the US and they're not sure what to do because of the tariff situation. Tariffs are constantly going from like over 100% down to 50%, down to nothing, and then back up to 80%, and then down to 40%, and then back up to 50%. It's like on any particular day, the actual tariffs that are going to be paid by, the people who are buying these devices, they're going to be like, if I go to buy a device, and the company has to pay a tariff to get it into the country, well, they're going to pass that cost on to me. And maybe Valve didn't have to do that before because they already had these devices in the country. They were shipped here when they were manufactured before the tariff stuff, and they were sitting in warehouses. And now maybe they've run out of devices that are sitting in warehouses. And Valve is sitting here thinking, okay, well, when we launched this device at $400, the price was painful to begin with, and we've gotten rid of the $400 version, and now the cheapest model is $550. But then you tack the tariffs on top of that, which makes it more painful for them to ship. It makes it really tough to justify bringing it into the country without raising the price, which, as I talked about earlier, is something I think Valve is very hesitant to do, because it makes it really hard to be compared favorably with other devices if it's not so much cheaper, because the other devices are more powerful, are more recent, and honestly are really, really good. If they have to raise the price because of the tariffs, maybe they've decided we'll wait and see until the tariffs are lower, ship a bunch in as soon as we can, and then shut it down if the tariffs go back up. I think that that's possibly what's going on here. Of those 5 options, I am struggling to pick which one I think is the most likely. I think the one that is probably the least likely is the Steam Deck 2 one. But of the other 4, I'm curious what you guys think. What do you think is the most likely option for why the Steam Deck is now completely sold out in the US? Let me know in the comment section down below that like button. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. I'm almost to that 100,000. Help me out. And if you haven't checked out the podcast yet, check it out. Thousands upon thousands of people watch that podcast every single week, and I think you would enjoy it too. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching, and stay rad.